Ladies and gentlemen, today, I want you to face the enemy. No, not someone out there in the world, not your critics, not your circumstances. I want you to face the enemy inside you, the weak version of yourself. You know exactly who I'm talking about, the one that makes excuses instead of progress, the one that settles for good enough when greatness is within reach, the one that wakes up late, breaks promises, scrolls endlessly, and talks more than it acts. That version of you has had its time, and its time is up, because as long as you let that version live, you are betraying your potential. You are handing over the keys of your destiny to fear, to doubt, to comfort. Every person in this room was born with the same internal fire, the power to choose their thoughts, control their actions, and shape their future. That's the difference between those who rise and those who rust. You weren't put on this earth to be average. You weren't born to chase, beg, or apologize for dreaming big. You were designed to dominate your space in character, in purpose, and in legacy. But that will never happen if you keep feeding the weaker self, the lazy one, the scared one, the undisciplined one. You have to kill it. Yes, kill it, ruthlessly. Cut it out of your routine, your vocabulary, your mind. Replace weakness with discipline. Replace doubt with relentless belief. Replace procrastination with aggressive execution. Understand this: the life you want, the respect you crave, the power you dream of, is on the other side of self-mastery. And self-mastery starts with war, a personal war against mediocrity. There will be pain. Growth demands it. There will be fear. Change invites it. But champions push through pain. Leaders walk with fear and act anyway, so I challenge you, the next time that weak voice inside says, "It's okay, take it easy," you say back, "Not today, I'm done playing small." The next time it says, "You're not ready," you answer, "Then I'll prepare until I am unstoppable." Every single day, you either feed the fire or starve it. You either rise or rot. You either become more or stay the same. But if you're hearing this right now, I believe it's because you're ready to break up with the weak version of yourself forever. Kill that version, bury it deep, and from that grave build the strongest, sharpest, most disciplined version of you the world has ever seen. Your future is watching. Make it proud. Thank you. The greatest enemy you will ever face is not out in the world. It's not your competition, not your upbringing, not the economy, and certainly not the people who told you that you can't do it. The enemy is the voice in your head, the weaker version of yourself that thrives on comfort, fear, and avoidance. It whispers lies, subtle, convincing ones, that tell you to delay, to doubt, to play small. It disguises itself as caution, as logic, even as humility, but make no mistake, it is sabotage in disguise. This internal version of you is the very thing holding you back from becoming everything you were meant to be. When you were born, you were given a mind capable of greatness, a will capable of resilience, and a spirit capable of creation. Yet most people walk through life never realizing that the biggest fight they'll ever have is not with the outside world, but with the part of themselves that settles. The weaker self is skilled at rationalization. It will justify skipping the hard work. It will tell you that you're tired and deserve rest, when what you really need is discipline. It will tell you to wait until conditions are perfect, but perfection is an illusion, and waiting is just procrastination in a polished suit. This version of you wants comfort more than it wants growth. It wants approval more than truth, and it would rather stay in the known than step into the uncertain territory where greatness lives. Every time you let that weak voice win, you reinforce its control. You build the habit of surrender, but here's the truth: just as habits are built, they can be broken, and it starts by recognizing that the inner enemy is not the real you, it is the conditioned you. It is the accumulation of past fears, failures, and societal noise. And it can be killed, but only if you decide to do it. Every excuse you make, every moment you give in to that voice, is a victory for mediocrity. That version of you is not interested in your future. It doesn't care about your dreams. It lives for the now, for the easy way, for the soft life that leads nowhere. And unless you confront it head on, it will rule your life from the shadows. It will sabotage relationships, delay progress, and blind you to your own strength. It will lead you to believe you're being cautious when really you're just afraid. It will have you convinced that you're staying safe when you're really staying stuck. The fight isn't glamorous. It happens in the silence, when no one's watching. It happens when you get up early to train while others sleep. It happens when you choose to do the hard work rather than wait for inspiration. It happens when you speak the truth instead of seeking validation. And in those moments, you chip away at the weak self. You take its power. You reclaim your own. The world doesn't need another person who almost lived up to their potential. It doesn't need someone who was close to becoming something great. It needs you fully alive, fully present, fully in command of who you are and who you are becoming. That only happens when the inner battle is won, when you no longer tolerate the version of you that tolerates less than your best. This is not about perfection. It's about intention. It's about making the decision, every day, to starve the weak voice and feed the strong one. It's about drawing a line and saying, that part of me no longer gets to make decisions. You may feel resistance. That's normal. That resistance is the dying breath of the weaker self. But every time you push through, every time you do what's right instead of what's easy, you're rewriting your identity. You're becoming the person you were designed to be. So the next time you feel yourself hesitating, playing small, or choosing comfort over commitment, remember, this is the fight. The enemy is not out there. It's in here, and it's time to win. Taking full responsibility for your life is one of the most powerful, life-altering decisions you can make. It's the moment when you stop blaming circumstances, people, or fate for where you are, and start owning every step you've taken, every choice you've made, and every habit you've allowed to take root. This isn't about shame or guilt, it's about power, because the moment you take responsibility, you take control, and with control comes the ability to change anything and everything in your life. It's easy to fall into the trap of excuses. The world is full of distractions and ready-made reasons to explain why things aren't working out. Your background, your education, the economy, the people around you, your parents, your boss, even luck. But none of those are the real reason. They may have influenced your path, yes, but they do not define your destination unless you allow them to. That's the difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck. It's not luck, not talent, not even intelligence. It's responsibility. When you take responsibility, you stop waiting for someone to fix your life. You stop looking for someone to blame when things go wrong. You stop waiting for the perfect time, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect conditions. You realize those things may never come, and even if they did, they wouldn't matter if you weren't ready to act. Owning your results, both good and bad, transforms you from a passive participant into the author of your own story. Responsibility is not about controlling everything around you. That's impossible. Life will throw storms your way. People will disappoint you, plans will fall apart, but what you do control is how you respond. You control your mindset, your decisions, your actions, and that is more than enough. Because when you master those things, you begin to master your reality. There's something liberating about taking full ownership. At first it can feel harsh. There's no one left to blame, but soon that harshness turns into freedom, because if it's your fault, then it's also in your hands to fix. If you made the mess, you can clean it up. If you've been living beneath your potential, you can rise. If your habits are the problem, they can also be the solution. Responsibility doesn't trap you. It sets you free. You don't wait for motivation. You build discipline. You don't hope for confidence. You earn it through action. You don't chase comfort. You create progress, and none of that happens without first saying, "This is my life. no one else's, and I'm in charge of it. People often say, it's not my fault, and maybe it isn't. Maybe someone else caused the pain, the delay, the loss, but there's a difference between fault and responsibility. Fault lies in the past. Responsibility lies in the present. It's not about who caused the problem. It's about who is going to solve it. And if it's your life, it has to be you. There is no empowerment in victimhood. The more you point fingers, the more power you give away. The more you focus on what you can't control, the more you shrink your own ability to change. Responsibility is the mindset of champions. It says, I don't care what's happened. I care what I do now. Taking responsibility also forces clarity. You start seeing your patterns. You see where you've been lying to yourself, where you've been avoiding effort, where you've been pretending to be stuck. You can't hide when you're honest with yourself. And that's where growth begins. That's when the excuses fall apart and the truth becomes clear. You are capable of so much more, but only if you decide to be. The strongest people you'll ever meet aren't the ones who had it easy. They're the ones who stood in the mirror, faced their own flaws, and said, it's on me, and I'm not running anymore. They stopped waiting, they started building, and they never let outside forces determine in their worth or their outcome. So if you want change, real, lasting, meaningful change, it starts here with a decision, not a feeling, not a wish, a decision to take full responsibility for everything in your life, your energy, your effort, your results. From this point forward, let that be your standard. Let that be your edge, because the moment you claim full ownership, you reclaim your power, and with that power, you can build the life you were meant to live. Weakness cannot be negotiated with. It cannot be reasoned with, tolerated, or outgrown. It must be eliminated completely and without hesitation. If you want to become the strongest, most focused, and most effective version of yourself, you have to kill the parts of you that are keeping you soft, distracted, and small. That means cutting out the habits, mindsets, and behaviors that serve comfort instead of purpose. There is no compromise in this. If you want real change, weakness must die. Weakness shows up in subtle ways. It's not always loud or obvious. It may look like sleeping in instead of getting up to train. It may sound like, I'll do it tomorrow, when you had every chance to do it today. It hides behind fear, behind self-pity, behind laziness disguised as self-care, and worst of all, it's persuasive. It convinces you that you're being reasonable, that it's okay to wait, to rest, to give up for now. But you have to learn to recognize that voice, not as your friend, but as the enemy, because that voice is not pushing you forward. It's pulling you down. Eliminating weakness means more than just resisting temptation. It means cutting off its roots. If scrolling on your phone is destroying your focus, delete the apps. If your environment is full of people who feed your excuses, change the room you're in. If your schedule is full of time wasters, restructure it. If your mind is full of fear-based thinking, replace it with thoughts built on clarity, confidence, and courage. Weakness survives where standards are low. If you raise your standards, weakness cannot survive. You don't need more motivation. You don't need more information. What you need is to get ruthless with the version of you that keeps sabotaging your future. Ruthless doesn't mean cruel. It means committed. It means drawing a line and saying, this behavior ends here, no more. When you stop tolerating mediocrity, you make space for greatness. When you stop negotiating with weakness, you create a clear path for strength to grow. People often wait for the right time to make this shift. They wait for a new month, a new year, or some sign from the universe. But the truth is, weakness doesn't wait. It grows in silence. It multiplies every day you postpone discipline. Every day you let it live, it gets stronger, and you get weaker. That's why you have to act now, not next week, not after you feel ready now. There will be resistance. There always is when you go to war with the old version of yourself. Your body will want comfort. Your mind will want safety. But growth doesn't happen in safety. It happens in challenge, in discomfort, in choosing to rise when you could have stayed down. Every time you push through, every time you do the thing you didn't feel like doing, you're not just building discipline. You're killing weakness, one decision at a time. This process isn't clean, it's messy. It's emotional. You'll have days where the weaker version of you fights back hard. It will try to lure you back into the old patterns, the old habits. But if you've made the decision to eliminate it, you won't entertain its voice anymore. You'll recognize it for what it is, a parasite feeding on your potential, and instead of feeding it with attention, you'll starve it through action. There's a powerful freedom that comes when you remove weakness from your life. You stop wasting energy on internal battles that used to drain you. You stop guessing yourself. You stop living on the edge of your potential and start stepping fully into it. The stronger version of you isn't found, it's built. It's constructed through intentional decisions, uncomfortable moments, and unwavering standards. Eliminating weakness doesn't make you heartless. It makes you focused. It doesn't make you cold. It makes you clear. It's not about becoming robotic. It's about becoming unshakable. Life will test you. People will doubt you. But as long as you've committed to destroying every part of you that resists growth, you'll keep rising. You'll keep pushing, and you'll become someone who lives not by chance, but by choice. So don't try to manage weakness. Don't try to live with it. That part of you isn't meant to survive the journey you're on. It's meant to be left behind. Let every action you take from this moment forward be a hammer blow to its grip on your life. Destroy it, replace it, and never look back. Once you've made the decision to eliminate weakness, you cannot leave that space empty. You must fill it with strength, real, sustainable strength. That strength is built through discipline and relentless belief. These are not abstract ideals. They are tools, systems, and muscles that get stronger the more you use them. Where weakness once lived, discipline must now reside. Where fear once whispered, belief must now roar. Without these replacements, the void left behind by weakness will pull you back into old patterns. But when you fill that space with purpose, driven action, and inner certainty, you begin to create a version of yourself that cannot be broken. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. It is waking up before the world does, doing the work when no one is watching, and saying no to what is easy in favor of what is necessary. It's not glamorous, it's not always inspiring, but it is always essential. Without discipline, goals remain dreams, and visions remain fantasies. Discipline turns intentions into routines and routines into results. It transforms character and builds credibility, not just with others, but with yourself. When you choose discipline, you're not relying on fleeting motivation. Motivation may light the spark, but it will burn out quickly. Discipline is the fuel that keeps the fire alive day after day. It doesn't care if you're tired, bored, or frustrated. It only cares that the job gets done. Every time you act with discipline, you cast a vote for the kind of person you want to become. One decision may seem small, but over time, those choices compound into a life of purpose and achievement. But discipline alone isn't enough. You also need belief, not just hope, not just wishing, but belief rooted in conviction. You must believe that you are capable of transformation, that you can endure, adapt, and evolve. Because the journey to the strongest version of yourself is not smooth. You will be tested, you will fall, you will question everything, and in those moments belief is what carries you forward. Belief is the inner voice that says, I am not done yet. It's the unshakable mindset that refuses to break, even when the outside world gives you every reason to. Belief is not about arrogance or false confidence. It's about clarity, knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what you're building. It's about seeing yourself not just as you are, but as you can be. That vision of your future self becomes a target, a guide, a source of strength. When belief is strong, it drowns out doubt. When belief is consistent, it makes fear irrelevant. The most powerful force is when discipline and belief work together. Discipline gets you moving, Belief keeps you moving. Discipline tells you to act. Belief tells you why it matters. Together, they create a mindset that is resilient, focused, and forward, moving. You stop reacting to life and start creating it. You stop waiting for opportunity and start generating momentum. You stop fearing failure and start understanding that every setback is a step forward if you don't quit. There will be days when neither discipline nor belief come easy. That's part of the process, but you must hold the line, even when your emotions betray you, even when your mind tries to convince you to ease up. That's when your true self is being forged. That's when the person you're becoming begins to emerge, not when things are easy, but when they are hard and you show up anyway. Replace weakness with discipline and you create consistency. Replace doubt with belief, and you build unstoppable momentum. And once you've done that, you start to live on a different level. You no longer chase shortcuts because you understand the value of the long road. You don't seek approval because you've built your identity from within. You become grounded, determined, and impossible to manipulate by fear, distraction, or failure. This process is not for the passive. It's not for those who want comfort more than change. It's for the ones who are done negotiating with mediocrity, the ones ready to rise not once, but every day. If that's you, then make the shift, eliminate the old. Replace it with fire, and let that fire burn through every excuse, every limitation, and every lie you once believed about what you were capable of. Growth is not a gentle process. It is not soft, painless, or easy. Real, lasting growth demands discomfort, and it invites fear. That is the truth most people avoid. They want the results without the resistance, the progress without the pressure. But you cannot evolve while staying comfortable. Every breakthrough in life, physical, mental, emotional, or financial, comes with a cost. That cost is pain, and that pain is proof you're breaking out of the old and stepping into the new. The reason most people stay stuck is because they run from discomfort. The moment things get difficult, they retreat, they slow down, they quit, not because they're incapable, but because they don't yet understand that pain is not the enemy. It's a necessary companion to growth. That doesn't mean you should chase suffering for its own sake. But it does mean that when you feel pressure, when the path gets heavy, you should recognize it as a sign that you're getting stronger, not weaker. The same goes for fear. Fear is not there to stop you. It's a signal that you are stepping outside your comfort zone, and that's exactly where you need to be. Fear will tell you to play it safe, to stay where you are, to hold off on doing the hard thing until later. But later rarely comes. What fear is really doing is testing you. It wants to know, will you fold under pressure, or will you push forward in spite of it? The people who grow, the ones who rise above, are not fearless. They simply move through fear. They acknowledge it, feel it, and act anyway. They've trained themselves to recognize that fear is often the doorway to opportunity. What you fear the most usually hides what you want the most, and to reach it, you must walk through that fear, not around it. Growth doesn't happen during ease. It happens in resistance. Just like muscles grow when they are pushed past their limits, your mind and spirit grow when you do what's uncomfortable, uncertain, or unfamiliar. Every time you do something that challenges your current identity, you chip away at the old version of yourself. You send a signal to your brain that says, we don't live there anymore. We don't settle anymore. We're becoming more. Pain, whether emotional or physical, is not just something to be endured. It's something to be studied. Ask yourself what your pain is teaching you. Maybe it's teaching you patience. Maybe it's showing you where you've been undisciplined. Maybe it's forcing you to finally confront your excuses. Whatever it is, use it. Don't numb it. Don't run from it. Lean into it, because growth lives on the other side of it. Think about the hardest moments of your life, the times you thought you couldn't handle, but did. What came from those moments? Strength, clarity, courage. Those qualities were born through struggle, not comfort. You were forged in that fire, and it's in the fire that you'll continue to evolve. When you start embracing the hard, something shifts inside you. You stop fearing adversity and start respecting it. You start seeing challenge as a gift, because it is the pressure that produces power. You will never reach your highest potential without walking through difficulty. You cannot skip the hard parts and expect to become the version of yourself you dream about. That version doesn't exist in the shallow waters of safety. It's waiting for you in the deep end, where you're forced to swim or sink, to adapt or fail, to fight or fold. And yes, it will hurt. It will be exhausting. There will be days when everything inside you says, just give up. But those are the days that define you, not the easy ones, not the fun ones, the days when you stand in the storm and keep moving anyway. That's when you build the foundation of a life you can be proud of. So stop avoiding discomfort. Stop praying for an easy path. Start asking for strength to walk the hard one. Embrace the pain, walk with the fear, and trust that every step through discomfort is a step closer to your highest self. Growth demands it, and if you're serious about rising, you'll give it everything it asks for. Every day is an opportunity. Every decision, no matter how small, shapes your future in ways that are often invisible in the moment. The daily choices you make, what you eat, how you spend your time, how you speak to yourself, the level of effort you put into your work, are not isolated incidents. They accumulate, compound, and eventually determine the life you lead. Your destiny isn't something that happens to you. It is something you create piece by piece with every action you take or don't take in a given day. This is why consistency is so crucial. It's not the occasional burst of effort that changes your life. It's what you do consistently, day after day. We often overestimate what we can accomplish in the short term and underestimate what we can achieve over time. Big transformations aren't the result of huge, one-time efforts. They're the result of small, seemingly insignificant decisions, repeated over time, that add up to create massive change. The choices you make today will either build a strong foundation for your future or lay the groundwork for regret and missed opportunities. We are all creatures of habit. The things you repeatedly do, whether it's how you wake up, what you focus on, who you surround yourself with, become ingrained. These habits form the lens through which you view the world and make decisions. If you habitually choose to act with purpose, with intention, your life will reflect that. But if you habitually choose comfort, avoidance, or procrastination, your life will mirror those choices as well. Over time, these habits either push you closer to your goals or further away from them. They are the silent architects of your future. Understanding this truth is empowering. It means that every moment is an opportunity to decide. You can't always control what happens in your life, but you can control how you respond, what you prioritize, and what actions you take. It's the accumulation of these small daily choices that will define whether you succeed or stay stagnant. And because you have the power to choose, you also have the power to change. Every day is a chance to build new habits, to refine your decisions, to shift the trajectory of your life in a direction that aligns with your true potential. The problem is that many people fail to see this. They wait for big moments to take action, waiting for a new year, a new month, or a life-changing event. But the truth is, the big changes happen in the small moments, in the choices you make when no one is looking. It's when you decide to get up early, to choose the healthy food, to do the work even when you don't feel like it. It's in these moments that you shape who you are becoming. Each small decision compounds, and over time, the results speak for themselves. Success isn't about perfection in one grand gesture. It's about doing the right thing repeatedly until it becomes who you are. The path to greatness is paved with consistency. It's the person who shows up every single day, even when motivation is low, who ultimately sees the most results. It's the person who sticks with the hard work, even when the rewards seem far off, who eventually becomes unstoppable. The moment you begin to understand that the sum of your daily decisions determines your future, you gain a tremendous advantage. You stop looking for shortcuts. You stop wishing for easy paths. Instead, you focus on the present moment and what you can do today to improve, to advance, to move closer to your goals. This doesn't mean that every day will be perfect. There will be setbacks, there will be mistakes, but consistency isn't about perfection. It's about commitment. Even on days when things don't go according to plan, the commitment to progress should remain. The true test of consistency is not how well you perform on the days when everything is going smoothly, but how you respond when things don't go as expected. Are you still showing up? Are you still putting in the effort? Are you still making progress even if it's small? In a world that rewards instant gratification and shortcuts, it's easy to forget that real progress is slow, steady, and often invisible in the beginning. You won't see the results immediately, but just as a seed doesn't bloom overnight, the work you put in today will grow, flourish, and eventually bear fruit. Trust in the process. Trust that every decision you make, every action you take, every effort you put in is building towards something bigger than you can see right now. When you look back at your life, you won't be able to pinpoint one single moment that changed everything. What will stand out is the accumulation of countless small decisions, consistent actions, and relentless dedication to your goals. Your destiny will not be defined by a single monumental event, but by the everyday choices you make. The person you become, the life you create, the success you achieve, it all comes down to what you choose to do today. The journey to becoming the best version of yourself is not a path that can be walked passively. It is a road paved with intentionality, discipline, responsibility, and, above all, relentless action. The process is challenging. No one can deny that. It demands that you face your weaknesses head on, eliminate the distractions that keep you from your true potential, and embrace the discomfort that comes with growth. It asks you to break free from the limitations of your past and stop accepting mediocrity in every area of your life. However, this challenge is not one that should be feared. In fact, it is one that should be embraced. Success and fulfillment are built upon small, consistent actions, not grand gestures or moments of brilliance. The daily choices you make, whether to push forward or stay stagnant, will ultimately shape the person you become. Every decision you make, no matter how seemingly insignificant, has the power to either bring you closer to your goals or push you further from them. That is the reality of life, and it is within your power to shape it. To change your life, you must start by changing yourself. This transformation starts with the recognition that you are responsible for where you are, and no one else can dictate the course of your journey. You must take full ownership of your life, your habits, and your outcomes. When you stop blaming the world around you and take responsibility for your actions, you empower yourself. Only when you accept full accountability can you begin to make the necessary changes that will move you toward your potential. The next step is to destroy the weakness that holds you back. Weaknesses, whether they take the form of self-doubt, procrastination, or bad habits, are the barriers between where you are now and where you want to be. These habits and mindsets must be completely eliminated. Weakness cannot be negotiated with. It must be confronted and destroyed, piece by piece, until it no longer has a grip on your life. It is only by removing weakness that you create space for strength to grow. Then comes the challenge of building strength in its place. True strength is not just physical. It is mental, emotional, and spiritual. Strength is discipline, and discipline is doing what you know needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is the consistency to keep moving forward, even when motivation falters. Discipline builds momentum, and momentum leads to mastery. It is this discipline that will fuel your progress, but even discipline alone isn't enough. To succeed, you must also nurture an unshakable belief in yourself. You need to believe that you are worthy of success, that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way, and that you can achieve whatever you set your mind to. Belief is what keeps you going when you hit roadblocks. It is the inner confidence that allows you to push through adversity and keep going when everything within you wants to quit. Lastly, understand that growth requires discomfort. The journey to success is rarely a smooth ride. It is often filled with moments of struggle, frustration, and self-doubt. But those moments are the crucible in which your true character is forged. Without adversity, growth would be impossible. Pain is not something to avoid. It is something to embrace. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to become stronger, more capable, and more resilient. The path to your best self is not a shortcut. It is not something you can rush, but with consistent action, belief in yourself, and a commitment to personal growth, you will get there. You will rise above the limits you once believed existed and step into the greatness that is waiting for you. Your future is in your hands, and it is shaped by the choices you make today. Embrace the discomfort, stay disciplined, and believe in your potential. The best version of yourself is not a distant dream. It is a reality you can create, one day at a time.